Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a massive paradigm shift in human vitality. We aren't looking at how to force the body to be younger, we're looking at how to intelligently signal it. We hear a ton about age management these days, but today we're focusing on a very specific class of biological tools that completely rewrite the rules of cellular optimization. Meet the morelins, specifically Tesamorelin, Ipamorelin, and Sermorelin.
So how do we actually signal the body to regenerate itself? You know, for decades, the anti-aging world was totally obsessed with brute force exogenous hormones, taking something manufactured outside the body and just forcing it in. But what if we asked a fundamentally different question? What if we figured out how to utilize upstream biological messengers to simply instruct your body to do the heavy lifting itself?
Here's our roadmap for today. First, the biological messengers. Then we'll break down Tesamorelin, Ipamorelin, and Sermorelin. After that, we'll cover the lifestyle prerequisite, and finally, medical context and dosing. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The biological messengers. We're looking at upstream signaling versus direct administration.
To really grasp these tools, we kinda have to reframe how we think about hormone optimization entirely. Think about the difference between a finished product and a set of instructions. When you use exogenous growth hormone, you're injecting the final product directly. And because it's this sudden, sharp increase that's completely unnatural to your biology, it carries a much higher risk of unpleasant side effects, like severe insulin resistance and acromegaly. Now contrast that with a molecular signal. With the morelins, instead of injecting the end product, you're basically injecting the instruction manual. You're prompting your body to produce the hormone naturally, in its own healthy pulsatile pattern.
The absolutely crucial point here is that these morelins are what we call synthetic secretagogues. Essentially, they're engineered analogs of your growth hormone-releasing hormone. They're designed to bypass the dangers of direct hormone replacement by entering the circulation, reaching your anterior pituitary gland, and stimulating your own somatrophic cells, which are basically your body's natural hormone factories, to release endogenous growth hormone. You get the benefit, but it's entirely driven by your body's own biological pathways.
Moving right along to Section 2. Tesamorelin. We're talking targeted fat loss and pulse mimicry.
44. That's a key number. Tesamorelin is this incredibly precisely engineered 44 amino acid peptide. But actually, it doesn't just stop there. Scientists attached a specific trans-3-hexanoic acid group to its tyrosine molecule to act almost like chemical armor. This allows it to resist enzymatic degradation. It significantly increases its half-life, meaning it can actually survive in your system long enough to have a highly potent action at your cellular receptors.
Fascinatingly enough, this peptide was originally developed, and approved actually, for HIV-associated lipodystrophy. Specifically, it targeted a subtype dealing with excess visceral fat. By creating a natural pulsatile release of growth hormone, it acts directly on the liver, muscle, bone, and skin. Your liver primarily responds by increasing IGF-1, which then preferentially targets that really stubborn visceral lipolysis and stimulates free fatty acid oxidation. It effectively tells your body to burn visceral fat.
Now, while it's definitely more natural than exogenous hormones, let's be real, it's not without risk. You could be looking at water retention, joint stiffness, maybe carpal tunnel syndrome, tingling, and headaches. And importantly, because of how it impacts the system, it can still cause insulin resistance. This is exactly why this powerful signal must always be medically monitored.
Okay, Section 3, Ipamorelin, also known as the ghrelin mimetic.
5. Compared to Tesamorelin's 44 amino acids, Ipamorelin is an exceptionally short synthetic pentapeptide, just 5 amino acids long. But, don't let its size fool you. It's been heavily modified for incredible receptor selectivity. This tight, compact structure allows it to resist degradation, dramatically increase its potency, and maintain a much longer half-life in the body.
The way this one works is where things get truly ingenious. Instead of acting as a direct secretagogue like Tesamorelin does, going straight to the pituitary cells, Ipamorelin is a ghrelin mimetic. It essentially puts on a disguise and acts like your body's hunger monster hormone. It enters the bloodstream, reaches the hypothalamus and pituitary, and binds directly to the ghrelin receptor, specifically the GSHR1A receptor. This triggers intracellular signaling and a calcium ion influx to create a growth hormone pulse. And the massive benefit here? It results in far less unwanted stimulation of cortisol and prolactin.
Because it's literally mimicking your hunger hormone, a super unique side effect here is a notably increased appetite, which makes perfect biological sense, right? The more stimulated that ghrelin receptor is, the hungrier you're going to feel.
Alongside that, it carries standard risks like water retention, fatigue, tingling, and again, insulin resistance due to chronically elevated IGF-1 over time.
All right, moving on to Section 4, Sermorelin. We call this one the natural fragment.
29. Sermorelin is composed of the exact first 29 amino acids of your body's naturally occurring growth hormone-releasing hormone. It's a shortened, active fragment of the human hormone. Because of this, it's quite literally the closest thing you can get to injecting the natural signal for growth hormone without actually injecting growth hormone itself.
Sermorelin works perfectly upstream, kicking off this beautiful biological domino effect. It binds to the anterior pituitary, activates the GS protein and adenylate cyclase, which then raises your CAMP and protein kinase A. This incredibly precise cascade causes a calcium channel influx, which finally triggers the release of your own natural growth hormone vesicles. Ultimately, this leads to that desired increase in IGF-1 and lipolysis.
But there is a crucial biological reality we have to address here. Because Sermorelin relies entirely on this specific natural upstream cascade, it absolutely demands a fully functional pituitary gland to work at all. If the factory is broken, sending the signal isn't going to help. It also shares common side effects like injection site reactions, a feeling of flushing, and water retention.
Section 5, the lifestyle prerequisite. This is the absolute foundation of optimization.
Look, if you take absolutely nothing else away from this explainer, let it be these mandatory baseline habits: strict caloric control, adequate protein intake, consistent resistance training, and high-quality sleep. If you're taking Tesamorelin, Ipamorelin, or Sermorelin for weight loss, body recomposition, or tissue repair, and you don't have these foundational lifestyle interventions firmly in place, you're essentially just wasting your money. These peptides do not do the work for you. They only amplify the biological environment you've already built through your daily habits.
Finally, Section 6, medical context and dosing. We're talking precision and doctor-led healthcare.
When we compare the subcutaneous dosing strategies, you'll probably notice Tesamorelin and Sermorelin are typically dosed just once daily, usually right in the evening. But take a look at Ipamorelin right there in the middle. The typical protocol is 100 to 300 micrograms 2 to 3 times per day. As you can imagine, this frequent microdosing schedule makes Ipamorelin a little more impractical for most people compared to the really convenient once-daily protocols of the other two variants.
Now, a completely crucial point that really cannot be overstated. Not all of the peptides we've discussed today are FDA approved for these specific uses. True longevity medicine is doctor-led. These are incredibly powerful cellular messengers that physically alter your body's systems biology. They require precise medical oversight, rigorous lab testing, and the continuous consent of your physician. This is absolutely not the realm for reckless self-experimentation.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to ask yourself a question. Are you actively building a solid foundation of health, or are you just searching for a biological shortcut? The morphellins are brilliant tools of science. They can literally signal your body to perform at its peak. But they're amplifiers, not magic bullets. What signal are your daily habits sending to your biology right now? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope this helps you build a smarter, far more resilient biological system. See you next time.